There, everyone. Just want to take a quick chance to talk about. We're currently in the middle of Dark Ascension release drafts. Um, I know I am currently working on a Pauper article for those who are interested, but just thought I wanted to throw this up on the channel. Had a really nice draft and just kind of wanted to show it off a little bit. You know, everyone gets that chance every now and then. So, I've been doing a lot of these release drafts. You know, I think it's a good opportunity to kind of collect up on the set. It's been going pretty well for me. I've managed to. I spent enough money for 3 drafts, and playing in the 4-3-2-2 draft queues, I've managed to take that 3 drafts, and I have now turned it into 7 drafts. A couple extra spent here and there, or, trading cards to get the tickets to pay the extra, but with PAX 1, I managed to do pretty good for myself. I do say so myself. So this is my draft right here. The actual deck that I put together. Let's pull up my sideboard. Now, I want to first point this out. As you can see here, I did, during my draft, open a Huntmaster, and did not play it. I opened this Huntmaster in my 3rd pack, and at that point in time, I was so deep into black-red that there was no way I was going to switch over to green. You can also see I have some nice playable green here. Not a lot. I got 2 worms that I kind of grabbed later on. I snagged one of the second one of those. I got the 5/5 generic guy. I love this bear, the morbid bear, and then the hunger for a combat trick. And I did start off a little bit in green, but then the black and red just kept coming my way, so I kind of just stuck with it. And it really paid off because green dried up real fast. And even though I did get the Huntmaster, I mean, how often are you going to open such a kind of a bomb, legend card and not use it? I did have another draft that I did and went red-green, where I opened a Huntmaster on the 1st pack and really dove heavily into it. I've also witnessed in two drafts where green-red Huntmaster decks just wrecked, and they get those the Wolf Lord and all that, and it's really kind of disgusting. But anyways, I did end up. I have been doing a lot of blue-white, but I did this time around end up in red-black. I've ended up doing a lot of blue-white and ending up in spirits. I really wanted to showcase this other draft I did, and I still might. Right before this one, where I ended up in blue-white spirits, I got 2 of the captains and 2 of the tapping spirits, and kind of made a pretty nice deck out of it. There's not a lot of extra control within blue and white in this format, but where it's straight DA. But I did get a couple of the control cards in the colors, and like I said, you have those tapping spirits are really great. But anyways, so, with this one, I did end up losing that one, speaking of, in the final round against a deck that was black-red vampires, with the Vampire Lord. So I thought it was really kind of a nice, flavorful, epic, competition right there, where it was, spirits versus vampires. Really kind of had a lot of fun with that, since I'm a big advocate of tribal play. But this time around, I did not go into this saying, okay, I lost to a really strong black-red, so I'm going to play black-red. I think that's a lot of mistakes the drafters will make, is that, and I am guilty of having done it before as well. You play in a draft and you lose to a deck that just creams you, and you're like, oh wow, that was so strong, and you go into that and you want to draft those colors, and what that ends up doing is you end up picking up crappy cards just because they're in the colors and trying to force out a deck. When you do drafting, you really don't want to do that. You want to be picking the cards as they come, completely open-minded. The last one I was talking about, the white-blue one, I actually started off in white-green in the 1st pack, and then, come the 2nd packs, I had so much nice blue come my way that I immediately, stopped drafting green and switched over to blue. And you need to be able to do that, be on your feet, and switch colors as necessary. This one, it was very little choice. You see here I have Blood Feud, I have a Burning Oil, and there's also a Fires of the Undead. And I had these 3 cards come to me in a row. Not particularly that order, but I did. These were picked one after the other. Burning Oil was first. I think that's a great card. I still actually debate on whether or not to add a Plains for the flashback for it, but and then right after that, Fires of Undeath, which was great because I was already leaning towards black-red. And then Blood Feud is kind of a big costed card, but a nice thing about this, it's target creature fights another target creature. And what that great part of that is the fact that it's just target creature. It's not dictating who has to control the creature, so you can actually have 2 of your opponent's creatures fight each other, And if you get two with the same toughness, same power, whatever, you can have those two cancel out, and it basically acts as a 2 kill card for the cost of 1. Not a lot of rares in this deck. Let's see if we can sort by rarity. I did get a nice one in each color right here. Let's bring him over so we can see him better. But I had the Shaman here, and at first I kind of hesitated on it and underestimated it, and then realized that I was being stupid and I had to take this card. Like I said, I underestimated it. He's a 3/2 for 4, but you can be pretty good, I found, at flipping these cards when you want to, and being conscious of that. And it's really an important mechanic for this format. And you see here that his flip side is pretty fantastic. Turns him into a 5/5 that deals 2 damage to your opponent every time he casts a spell, and that's really fantastic. The other one I have here, I'll drag this one over as well. I got the Fiend of Shadows, and this is a great card. This was actually my first pick overall in this draft. Was this card? It's a 3/3 vampire flying 4/5. And that's all well and good, but his abilities are really what kills it for me. Is when he does damage to your opponent, he exiles a card, and you have the opportunity to play that card as long as it's exiled. And the second ability he has is Sacrifice a Human, Regenerate the Fiend of Shadows. Now, there are 2 things that I want to make mention about this card real quick. First off, this works great in black-red because you do get these werewolves that are humans, but you do need to be aware when using these werewolves as humans for sacrificing to the fiend, you need them to be, on this front side here. They need to be humans. If you flip this guy, you can no longer sacrifice it to regenerate the fiend. And I also had another game where an opponent managed to steal control of my Fiend of Shadows, and the important thing I want to note there is that the cards that were removed when I controlled the Fiend of Shadows, I still was able to play them. Even though he controls the Fiend, the wording on this card, it ensures that when your opponent, even if your opponent steals it, and you have access to those cards that have been exiled while you controlled the Fiend, and you can play them. So just kind of an important thing to note. So let's take a look at what else here. Undying Evil, fantastic combat trick in black. I actually, this is the draft? No, this is not the draft. But I really like this one. You can find a lot of them. They're usually easy to come by. You'll see a couple of them go by, and you don't really want multiples of them, unless you're very heavy black. You want to make sure your creature base is pretty high, but it's a fantastic card trick. Next we have the Forge Devil. This is a great thing, and I actually use this really well with the Wake Dancer. This works great in the early game. You can use it to kill something off. You can use it after combat to do that, final 1 damage to an opponent's creature to finish it off. That's an important thing. But what I found is if you have 4 mana, I used this. I would play the Devil and use the 1 damage to kill the Devil, and then you can play something like this Wake Dancer here, where it has the Morbid ability. When the Morbid ability is in play for this one, you get an additional 2/2 black zombie. So by playing 1 red and killing the Forge Devil, I take 1 damage, but then I get the zombie off this. And if you had any of the other Morbid abilities, it's something important to realize is that Forge Devil, while it looks like a weak card in the late game, and it really is, what it can get you is that Morbid effect on itself. So we already talked about Burning Oil. Next is the Hybern Ghoul. This is a great little guy. It's a little heavily costed, being that it's 2 black, so you have to be making sure you are definitely in black, and you will have that to cost. There were many times where I was not able to play him until the late game because I didn't get that second black. But he actually did entirely win me a game. He managed to swing for like 6 or 7 turns in a row, and my opponent did not have something to block the Intimidate. So that's really an important creature in this deck, I think. Evasion is always an important thing you want to draft for. It's really easy to find in blue. You get a lot of the unblockables and you get a lot of the flyers, but evasion is really, honestly, one of the most important things when it comes to creatures. That's what makes one more valuable than the other. So, yeah, he has the Intimidate. My opponents were not able to block him, and I could. In that one game, I managed to get in, I swear it was 6 or 7 turns worth of damage to pull off a win. And also here we have the Hermit. Not a real crazy thing. You can get some nice plays off him when he flips because he has to be blocked. So you can use him to force, a kill of a creature on your opponent's side during those kind of stalemate moments. It also works really mostly as a regenerate option for the Fiend of Shadows. Torch Fiend, kind of just a body in this deck. He's a 2/1 for 1 and a red. Destroy Artifact is not really something that is important in this format. There are not a lot of big important artifacts that you need to get rid of. In most cases, this would be a sideboard card, but if you take a look right here, I have no sideboard cards in my color. I do have a Shattered Perception, and I just did not feel that was a necessary card for this deck. Some might like it. I think it's more of a constructed card than limited play. So I really didn't have a lot of options, and the Torch Fiend kind of had to go in. Warden of the Wall, I like it. It's a mana ramp. More importantly, it's a blocker for those evasion flyers. It worked really well to shut down, those the Geists. There were a lot of instances, spirit tokens, where this Warden of the Wall was really important to me. And you also do get the benefit, like I said, it's a mana artifact, always good. Chosen of the Markov. Now I ran 2 of these, and I really wanted to be able to use this. When I started off, I had gotten the Fiend, I had gotten one of the Rippers here, and I really thought this was a great card. I underestimated it in the first 2 or 3 drafts, but I did have that, when I played that red-black opponent, he did kind of wreck me with these guys when it flipped. So having 2 in here is a bit much because I only have 3 other vampires that are, straight vampires. These guys are humans at first. So it was a bit much, but again, you see I had no sideboard options, so it had to be done. But when they flip, it's a 4/4. It's a really nice thing to have. I did get 2 of the Rippers. These are great cards. You get these haste vampires that can all of a sudden get bigger, and I think that was a great thing that they did. Early vampire mechanics, you had to damage a creature to get the +1/+1 counter. And I understand the flavor of that and how that all works, but I really think that, this makes them much more effective, more troublesome is the whole when they deal damage to an opponent. Either way, it's very flavorful. It sticks within kind of a vampire theme. Heckling Fiends, another great card, but I again would not really want more than one of these. You can, again, I made mistakes when my very first draft. I thought it was target creature could not block, but it is target creature must attack this turn. So you can use it to force your opponent to attack with a creature that he's been sitting back with, kind of even up the field. I did that on multiple occasions. We talked a little bit about the Wake Dancer. It's a 2/2 for 3, not bad. The fact that it has the ability to get that extra creature is great. I have another Werewolf here, the Afflicted Deserter, regen for the Fiend. He flips into a really nice 5/4. His ability is artifact based. Again, there's not a lot of that going on, but he is a 3/2 for 4. And like I said, flipping is pretty easy. I did have one game where I had him and the rare Werewolf in hand, and you want to play this rare one first. They are both 3/2 for 4, but you want to get this one flipped as soon as possible, so given the option, play that one first. Now, kind of the odd part of my deck, I ended up with 3 of the Russet Wolves, and these are just generic, boring, kind of bad creatures, but I needed them to fill out my creature count. I like to run decks with no less than 15 creatures, and if I'm running 15 creatures, I better have a decent amount of control. Drafting, I have found in my years of playing, is definitely a creature-based format, and if you do not have the creatures to hold up, then you will not win. Even if the games stall out where you're sitting like 5 creatures across from your opponent's 5 creatures and nothing happens, that's fine, because that's just stalling for you to grab your bombs and find answers. But I really wanted to get my creature count up. These guys were coming around. I wasn't getting much else in the picks, and they had to be put in to fill the deck, and that actually worked pretty well. It's a 3/4 for 4. There's a lot of stuff better than it because it has no abilities, but in reality, it's a decent costed creature for a decent sized body. Grabbed a Death's Caress and pack 2 or 3. Just really reinsured the fact that I was playing black-red. Nice and foily. Kill a creature, gain life equal to its toughness if it was human. Great card. So you see, I'm not overly stuck on control. I have 3-4 control cards. I have the Blood Feud, the Caress, the Fires, and the Burning Oil, and the Fires can come back. You see, I didn't put the planes to reuse the oil, but the Fires will come back. So that's kind of where I like to sit. You don't want to get too heavy. I have done that, drafted so much control that I just could not keep up. Another nice card here, the Harrowing Journey. I was a little hesitant at first to draft it, but card draw is nice in these colors. Your only other options are the red ones, and then you're discarding as much as you draw. So I really like this one. It does cost 3, But I'm a big advocate of mono black decks. Black Weenie, etc. I am a black mage through and through, so I'm used to this, pay 2 life, draw 2 cards kind of thing. You pay 3, you draw 3. It just seems to be how it works. Also, late game, got a Bone Flinger here, another great card. It's control on a stick. This is kind of your ideal card right here, is because not only is it a control card, but it's a creature too. And like I said, you really need a balance between those two. You don't want to be way too heavy on control. You got to find that kind of middle ground. So you see again, that's that. Poor Hunt Master. Not a lot of options for other things to throw in here. I tried to pull out some stuff as I went that I didn't want my opponents playing, like Break a Day, combat tricks like that. This is the spirit I was talking about earlier, the Niblis of the Mist, I guess is how you say it. 2/1 flyer that allows you to tap. It's a great card. The only card I could have brought in, and I considered on multiple occasions and probably should have, was this land here that allows you to return a creature from your graveyard. I'm not playing anything that needs to remove creatures from the graveyard, so playing this would not be, anything it removed would be great. I probably should have taken out a mountain or something, but because I had so many of these double-costed early game cards, I was really a little nervous about not being able to get this on turn 2 or get this on turn 3. The Ripper here, because that's really kind of a down-putting situation. You need to have double cost of each, so I probably should have taken out a mountain for it, but in the end it didn't really hurt me. So we're going to take a look at 2 games here real quick. These were the final games that I played in this draft. The third game did not save, so we're just going to look at these 2. One I won and one of the ones I lost. But this is the opening hand, and one of these clearly not going to keep it because there is only 1 land available to me. And this is the next one. Pretty good. I have a 2-drop that I can get into play on turn 2. I have Undying Evil. You see I draw into Warden of the Wall. That's great. And I have a kill spell. So, I'm sitting pretty good. I like that hand, even though I had to drop to 5. My opponent started off. Let's bust this out here. This is game 2, actually, that I lost. He is playing Zombies. He had the Lord. I don't remember if we see it this game or not, but so this is kind of a zombie that I don't think is very beneficial. 2/1 for 2. You can get better things at 2/1 for 2, like the Torch Fiend, without this drawback. And you see it kind of hurts him. He does lose his Death's Caress, and I was happy to see that. But in the end, it wouldn't matter. So we're going to sit here. We're going to play the Torch Fiend. Say again, there's not a lot of options for sacrificing the Torch Fiend. Yeah, here it goes. He was playing heavy blue-black zombies. Now, I did see this card come up in the first pack. Now, let me say something about the captains real quick. Of all the captains, I am not likely... I passed this. I did not even consider it. I love the Spirit Captain. You can get a lot of spirits off that. I like the Vampire Captain. There's a lot of vampires that come around. Even the Wolf Captain can be good, especially with the Huntsman. But what I do not like is this one. And the reason for that is stuff like this. If you want to draft heavy zombies, you get a lot of garbage like this Screeching Scab here. There are some nice ones, but they come in at like the 5 or 6 converted mana cost slot. And that's good in the late game, but that doesn't really help you with the captain here. It's with these captains, it's great in the early game. Early game spirits, you get drops at 2 and 3 very easily. Early game wolves, you get drops at 2 or 3 very easily. So, I think those are, vampires, 3, not a problem. But zombies just do not have the stability at the early casting cost to really make a difference, in my opinion. I do decide to trade the Torch Fiend for the zombie. Like I said, there's not a lot of artifacts that you'll come across in this format, so if I can get rid of that, that's great. He is going to get through with the captain on this turn, but the fact that was at the time a 3/2, I had to get rid of it, as soon as I could. So take 2, not a big deal. Now he plays Black Cat, and this is a troublesome little creature, because at this point in time I'm sitting on 3 cards that I do not really want to lose. So I'm going to let this cat live as long as possible. I did actually play the Death's Caress there, you see, to kill off the captain. It did require me to tap out my Warden to do so, but that's okay. I really needed to get rid of that guy, get him off the field as soon as possible. I could have used the Fires of Undeath, sure. Maybe that was a misplay on my part. In the end, I don't think it really matters. actually, I'm gonna straight out say that was a misplay on my part, because this Fires of Undeath will only kill something 2 or less on toughness. So you want to use that as soon as possible and save something like Death's Caress that can kill anything flat out for later on in the game. That also would have left me the Warden open, and at that point it wouldn't have been so bad, I guess, maybe to block the Black Cat, but it would have left the Warden open at the very least. I feel okay not blocking the cat for a while, since it's only 1/1. He gets Tower Geist, and this is a good creature, but I have not seen much of it. I've seen one maybe in the drafts that I've done so far. And it's great because you can see it's kind of like the Oracle, except the card you do not choose goes into your graveyard. So now he does get a Grip Tide on my Warden of the Wall, and that's a bit troublesome, just simply for the fact that it comes into play tapped. I do use the fires to get rid of the spirit that was in play. Choking over here. So that's not a big deal. I replay the Ward, and I think it's important to get him out. And now I'm definitely at a point in time where I do not want to block this Black Cat, simply because I have these. I did not have the land in play. I just had 2 cards, and I wanted to keep those. My opponent is actually running, I'll tell you this now, 3 copies of Reap the Seagraph. I think that's a bit excessive. My opponent, kind of the reason I won this, I'm a little surprised he made it this far, is there's stuff here that should not be in here. Quiver. Wolfhunter's Quiver should not be main deck. If anything, put it in this, it's in the sideboard, and you can bring it on versus werewolves, but, it's just, the equipped cost is so high. A 1-cost artifact for 5 equip, that's terrible. So, it does start, again, he is a bit heavy on these. 2 maybe is good when you're playing blue-black with the Zombie Lord. 3 seems a little much to me. It does end up being 2 creatures. But once, you really want to get those bombs. That was kind of the thing about those 3/3 wolves for 4, is the fact that, you need to really get beyond this 2 toughness, 2 attack power, to really make a difference. Every draft you're going to find, almost any format, is going to have a lot of the 2 power, 2 toughness kind of creatures. So you really need to kind of get beyond that wall, in my opinion, to really have an impact. So you see here, he actually does take a turn where he does not cast anything else, and he spends the 5 to equip the Quiver. It works for him, I guess. He is able to kind of ping me for 1 every turn, but it just, I don't know. There's something about that 5-cost equip that I stay away from the Quiver. Like I said, I have had it in the sideboard, something that I drafted late in the pack, just as an option later on if I do face a werewolf deck. But and they are out there, let me tell you. It's a very real deck, very real. So, he's going to be able to do this to me. This is another great card, the Inquisitor here, at common. It's 4 cost for a 2/2, but it does have lifelink, and when it dies you get a spirit token. So I love to see that. Now I have some options. I really don't want this cat to die because there's nothing here I want to get rid of. Blood Feud, I'm debating because I don't want to kill this cat. Maybe that cost me in the end in this game. The fact that I let the cat stay on the board for so long. I did draw this out. He can use the Quiver to do 1 damage to this, but I drew it out. You see, he did this kind of at an odd point in time. Well, I guess it doesn't matter when he did this during this, but he attempted to kill this card so that the Haste Vampire would not get to attack. I, in response, play the Undying Evil, so it will come back, and because it has haste, and it's before attacking is declared, I guess what he should have done is waited till after attacking was declared to do that, but he comes back, and now I can attack. I am willing to exchange these 2 cards. I feel like a 1/1 spirit token is something I can handle, so I play the Burning Oil to keep my creature alive. And he actually does play an Undying Evil of his own. This is kind of why I say it's a great card, like not necessarily multiples, but getting this back as a 3/3 with lifelink. Now all of a sudden this is a creature that I have to worry about. Definitely something to keep in mind, the power of that card. So here you go. This is Reap number 3. There's not a lot of options here. I don't know about this play now that I did it. I decided, okay, I can spare this wolves. Let's get rid of this cat. And this is just kind of a silly play now that I look at it. I am using 6 mana to get rid of 2 1/1 creatures. Um, I could have very easily blocked any of these. I know he's not going to use the cat. The only benefit here is it gets those 2 creatures off the board, and he's going to have to pay 5 to re-equip that artifact. He does make another pretty good play there. He taps the cat to deal 1 damage to the cat, so that 0 damage is done to the spirit token and the token lives. So just showing a really bad play on my part. I do use the guys to block that guy. There's another guy on the play. I use my vampire to block the Inquisitor. He gets another spirit token. A little bit troublesome. Hopefully, you're sitting at this point, you're like, God, I don't want to see Sorin, and I don't think he had it, but still. This is a great thing. The Warden, it died there, but I really love it. It's a decent blocker, especially with the flyers. Red-Black does not have a lot of options for that, so it works really well. I did block. He did pay the 5 to attach the quiver and kill the Warden. I draw into Forge Devil. Not usually good this late in game, but I am going to use it to kill off the spirit that had the quiver equipped to force my opponent to pay 5 again to equip it if he wanted. It's just I think paying that 5 every turn to equip that ends up being a waste of his mana. And just one of the reasons, he has to tap out 5 lands, and you tap out 5 to attach that, and you are not going to make another play that turn because that's so heavily costed. So that's my one advice. If you get anything from this video, it's stay away from the quiver. Plays the Torturer, great thing. I do get the Wake Dancer. I attempt, you see here, let's stop this for a second. I have the Forge Devil. I attempted to attack. I figure if he wants to block, he might block with this. It would be stupid, but then I would trade. If he decides to block with the zombie, it would die, and then I would play the Wake Dancer and basically replace the Devil with another one. Because he did not block, he was smart. He's at 26 life. He really does not need to block. And I'm at 8, so now he's sitting on 5 next turn. I kind of have to play the Wake Dancer, even though it's not going to have Morbid, just so I have the blocker available. Really not a good situation to be in. This is kind of top deck mode. I really don't like doing it. You see there, he did play another flashback, for another token. I get the Highborn in the late game. Not a great card in this matchup because he is able to block it, but it will act as a chump block here. I'm also getting to the point in time, I have no cards in hand. I really want that draw spell, but it's that point in time where he is not going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to use it, because I'm at so low life. So he attaches, he pays the 5, attaches the quiver, uses the spirit to kill the Devil, attacks with those 2, and I attempt to trade, but he does play yet another. He does get the zombie in play, so it's really kind of a no-win situation. Here I'm just kind of drawing out time. He's used a lot of his clock. He's down to 13 minutes at this point. So I always like to draw out the games just to, and maybe that's cheap, but, suck it up. It's a game. You want to win, you got to do what it takes. So I play this guy. I know I'm going to lose this turn anyways, but, just to draw out time, it's pretty much game over. So let's take a look. This was, I believe, the 3rd game. I don't know why the first one didn't save, but so this was the opening hand. Now, a lot of people might mulligan this hand. 7 cards, 6 of which are lands, and my creature drop does not come until 4. So, really not a great hand, but I am actually going to decide to keep it. I'd rather have this many lands in hand. I know that what that means is that it increases my odds of drawing non-land cards in the early game. I have 2 of each color at least, so if I get that zombie out, I can get that turn 2 one in. I am going to play the swamp on my first turn just to make sure that if I do top deck that in time, I can get that in play on turn 2. It has the reds, so you can get the vampire with the 3, the haste vampire in there as well. Just really kind of important things that, like I said, I really, anyone who's watched my videos has understood this, but I really cannot stand coming in the mid game in drafts where you get a whole bunch of lands. I never run more than 16 lands in a draft deck. I don't know if that's high or low depending on who you ask, but so I hate when you come to that mid game and you really just need you're like got your opponent to 2 life. You really just need a bomb card to get the win, and you just cannot get it because you were just drawing land after land after land. You see here, I like I said, decreasing my odds of drawing lands. I did draw another one here, but my opponent doesn't have an early game either. He's kind of made kind of an interesting play. Let's open his graveyard right here. This is a card I love when I'm playing blue, is Thought Scour. It's a 1 blue cost for a draw spell. Now usually when people play this, they make your opponent discard 2 cards off their life deck. The only thing I can guess by this is he has a couple of those creatures that require the removal of a creature from grave, and he wants to get a creature in the grave as early as possible. But who knows? I thought it was a bit of an odd move. He does not see, I really kind of ended up looking smart in this one because he does not get an early play in. So now it's turn 4. I did not miss a single land drop, and I got my Wolves into play. Turn 4 he gets his Geist, a great thing, gets rid of a land. So he's looking pretty good. He's managed to siphon those off. You see again another flaw in my strategy. Oh yes, we will not draw as many lands, and I've already drawn 2 in the first 4 turns. After starting with 6 in hand. But, what that tells me is that, look at it right here. This is 8 land cards that I am not drawing. That is half my lands out of my deck. So, at the point in time, it's not really hurting me. I am very happy to see this. Just like I said, because I hate getting those lands later on. Now, I could have used the Caress to kill us. It's a waste. If he wants to block with the Spirit, let him. I'm going to end up on top of that one. I'm going to try and leave mana open as long as possible to play Undying Evil on that as well, because it's a great card to have. You see here now that really works out great. I am able to drop my land, and being at 6 mana, I can play this Fiend of the Shadows and have Undying Evil around to save it. So I attack here with the Wolves. He decides to block with the Inquisitor to get the token, but now I have the Fiend of Shadows who can chump block these flying creatures. And I can even attack through. He plays Lingering Souls, great card. I have not actually managed to get one of these in a draft. A little irritated by that, but side note, he can chump block with these spirit tokens to kill it. I do not have a human on the field just yet, but I do have Undying Evil, so I will be able to trade those off. Now you see I do get the human, and I have come across this in an earlier game. What you want to do in this situation is play the human first. Just on the off chance that he has 2 kill spells or a chance to get rid of the Undying Evil, you can use the human to save the Fiend of Shadows. So play the human first before you get to that, just so you have the option available. If necessary, you can do that. Now this is not a human I really want to be sacrificing, but again, you have the option. If you have to, you can do it. So now I'm attacking, and kind of an odd play here. Instead of just blocking with these 2 or just these 3, he blocks with all of them. So it's my choice. I could kill the 2/2 and a Spirit token. I decided I wanted to get rid of all 3 Spirit tokens. I don't have a lot of a lot of flying blockers. So if I can get rid of as many as possible, I can chump block 1, maybe 2, on the field, but I cannot block a whole swarm of Spirit tokens. So I'm going to choose to get rid of all of the spirits, and I do pay the Undying Evil, so it will come back as a 4/4 flying vampire. Really kind of a bomb on this one. I do have the Death's Caress. I am holding these 2 lands in hand just to kind of bluff out my opponent. This is game 3, so he is aware of the fact that I do have a lot of those red combat tricks, and he does decide to concede out at this point, but really, really early concede. I was a little surprised he did that. He hasn't lost very much. I assumed that he figured he can't handle these 2. Maybe what happened here is he did not have a play this turn, so he saw that this guy was going to flip. I really don't know why he conceded at this point in time, but the game was pretty well in my hand anyways. It just, power of these little wolves. 3/3 for 4. I really love it. It's pretty fantastic. But there you go. Just wanted to showcase. Like I said, I have been doing a large number of these release drafts. I swear, anyone looking forward to that article, I am working on it currently, and it will be up this week. This week we are looking at Pauper and the impact of DA Dark Ascension on Pauper. in the competitive formats. But here you go. Just wanted to show you this kind of a fun draft. A couple notes there for anyone who is looking for these drafts and some tips. Just also kind of a funny scenario when you draft a huntsman and it doesn't get play. So hope you enjoyed it, and check out some more videos from me later.